Good evening. Today's topic is microfinance. And our guest speaker is Mr. P.M. Vasudevan. It's my privilege to introduce Mr. Vasudevan, who is actually a very eminent person. I feel very small trying to introduce him. Nevertheless, here are some details about Mr. Vasudevan. He is the promoter and managing director of Equitas Microfinance India Private Limited. Equitas is a new age microfinance institution focused on the urban poor against a traditional MFI approach of the rural. The urban poor are as financially excluded as the rural counterparts. That's a problem. That leads to an increasing migration to cities in search of earning opportunities and a high disparity between the rich and the poor, which again leads to a high incidence of crimes in cities. There is therefore an urgent need to focus on financial inclusion, which is the biggest thing delivered by microfinance organizations. Financial inclusion, which is where Equitas is focused. Even though his company, Equitas, commenced business only in December 2007, it has already set many records in the MFI industry. To highlight a few, it is one of the most transparent MFIs in the world. The only company to print its real rate of interest in the passport, and it educates clients about the same. Educating the clients about the real rate of interest. Equitas is today the fourth highest capitalized MFI in the country. I believe it is of the order of rupees 350 crores. It is the fastest growing startup MFI in the world. It has already acquired 500,000 clients, a record in the MFI sector. Before setting up Equitas, Mr. Vasudevan was the Executive Vice President and Head Consumer Banking Group in Development Credit Bank Limited, based out of Mumbai for 1.5 years. Earlier, he was a Vice President and business head of Cholamandalam Investment Finance Company, in which capacity I have met him. I have had a few interactions with Mr. Vasudevan. As a speaker, he has addressed many organizations in India and abroad, such as the CII, Asian Bankers Institute of Singapore, Indian Banks Association, etc. He was the chairman of South India Hair Purchase Association, and again I have had the privilege of participating in the meetings chaired by him. Mr. Vasudevan is a BSc graduate who also did his SCS as a company secretary by profession. And he has a law degree, BM. Mr. Vasudevan was All India third rank in the SCS finance. We are waiting to hear you, Mr. Vasudevan.
Thank you for the very nice, warm introduction. When I came in here, so I came with, whenever anyone bestows some credibility to you by asking you to come and give a lecture or a speech, your ego is very well bloated, So I came with a very bloated ego into the room, and the moment I entered the room, I was given this book. The title of the book is Microcredit, Has It Lost Its Luster? So the path of I came down to earth. So it's a good lesson for all of us that never float, always be on ground. And it requires people like you, very seasoned people like you, to bring people like us down to earth once in a while. So they stay rooted to the community. So the topic is microfinance, bridging the divide between Bharat and India. But I think I'll also cover this as it lost its luster, sheen, the charm, and pardon me ladies, the sexy part of microfinance. Has it really lost that, or is it still there? So I think I'll cover that also, because I think for an enlightened audience like this, I think we should not talk of the very basic level of microfinance. So microfinance as a concept has been prevalent around the world, in different parts of the world, in different forms. But it was given some kind of a formalized structure by Muhammad Yunus, Professor Muhammad Yunus of Bangladesh, who is an economics professor in a college there. And in one of he was basically a kind of American, NRI kind of a thing, NRB probably. And he was in America most of his life, so he had kind of come to Bangladesh for a teaching assignment. So he didn't have much of a first-hand feel of poverty and the third world country experiences. See, in one of the usual cyclones that strike Bangladesh every year, so that year also a cyclone had struck and leaving a lot of destruction all around it. And he had stepped out of his campus at that point in time, and he saw people who were struggling to kind of come back to terms with their life, because so many things of their life had got destroyed by the cyclones. So as he was spending time, he says in his book, I mean I've never met him, so I only read about his book. So as he went around and talked to those people, he says that he was trying to find out from them what do they need to come back to some level of reasonable stability back to their life after the devastating cyclones. So they all, it seems they said that, if only I can get a few rupees, it's actually something translated by about $27, that's what he says. So if I can get the equivalent of that amount in terms of rupees, then I will be able to buy this and sell it, and we'll start making something, and slowly our life will come back. So he said that should not be much of an issue, because I know I'm working in this college, so we should be So he says he went around to the bank saying that it's such a small amount, and you can really help these people come back to life and all that. So he tried with the banks, and of course nothing happened. He never got anything from them. So finally he had no choice, and so he just took some money from his pocket and gave it to them, more like a charity, just saying that okay, fine, it's going to go. And he says to his utter surprise, after a few weeks, they all came back and paid that money back to him. So he was completely taken aback that someone who is practically on the roads, on the streets, they are able to come back and pay this money back to me. But in his sense, he had decided that he was wanting to give that money to these people. So when it came back, he gave it to some more people. And then again to his surprise, it came back. Then he told that to, it seems he told that to his other colleagues in the college. And then he just passed the hat around, collected a little bit more money, and then he gave that also to these people. And all of them came back again. He just kept doing it, and then he realized that there is a phenomenon here at work which we have never understood. And as economics professor, he says he had also never understood or thought of a phenomenon which can work at that economic level. And then that's where he says the concept of this whole the society coming together in terms of a process kind of came into his mind, and from there he started this whole concept of forming them into a group and trying to get them to support each other socially as well as economically, and then giving them as part of that bonding, group bonding, giving them also access to some level of credit, and then the rest of it is, as they say, is history. And this became such a worldwide phenomenon. I mean, the whole model is so sound that is now working right around the world. And he was also given the Nobel Prize for Peace in 2006 for this whole developing this concept of microcredit. And after that, from 2006 to 2009, I think 3 years, like anything good in life, this also just became too big for its own good. And it just blew up and up and up. And when anything blows up, however strong the material is, there's got to be a burst. And so I think that is where this comes from. As it lost its luster, is basically trying to say whether it's become so big that it's just bursting away. Tamil or சொல்லுவாங்க அளவுக்கு மீறினா அமிர்தமும் விஷம் அப்படின்ட்டு ஒன்று சொல்லுவாங்க. Even அமிர்தம், even nectar, if it's going to be consumed beyond the right quantity, it will turn to poison. So anything in too much of measure is never going to be good for anybody. And I think microfinance probably became a victim of its own growth. Microfinance, that is the theory part of microfinance. Now I will just give you a very small practical part of microfinance. There's a lady just outside our office in Nandaram. There's a lady who sells tender coconuts. So I was walking down some time back, and I just met up, and I was just trying to have a few words exchanged with her. I was trying to find out what she's doing, what's her background, and just trying to understand what she's doing. And she has got 2 kids. And unfortunately, like most of the people at that segment, her husband doesn't contribute anything to the family. And she says she's just lucky if something doesn't go out of the family to him. Otherwise, there's no positive contribution from his side. And she's got 2 kids. Both are going to the government schools. And she sells the tender coconuts. And she says that she buys it for about anywhere between 13 to 15 rupees. And she has a markup of 2 rupees per coconut, and she normally manages to sell around 200 coconuts a day. So she makes fundamentally around 400 rupees per day. Of course, she doesn't have a bank account. She has no savings as such, and it's more or less hand to mouth in case it rains too much on a given day, or there's any disturbance, and she's just sitting on the pavement. There's no stores or anything like that. So if for any reason, if she can't sit on the pavement that day, that day's income is gone. That puts added pressure because there's no savings. She can't just walk. She is actually sitting 10 feet from an Indian bank ATM. So, when we say financially excluded, those who are financially excluded, first nammalukku vara images vandu faraway villages. Banks cannot reach because the villages are so far away, spread away, and that is why the banks are not able to offer the services to them. But here is a lady who is 10 feet from a bank, and she is not having a bank account. The problem of banking is not the problem of distances, it's the problem of mindsets, it's the problem of structures. The banks are designed to serve 5-star clients. You cannot put a bunk store client to them and ask them to serve. It just will not work. It doesn't work. So she is sitting 10 feet from the Indian bank ATM, but she doesn't have an ATM card, obviously. So when there is no earnings for a day, she can just, like any of us, what we do when we want cash, we walk across and swipe and we get cash out of that. She doesn't have that option. And the supply of coconuts is not assured, not consistent, and not assured. Then I checked out whether she has borrowed from anybody and all that. And of course, it was a pleasant surprise to me to know that she was one of our clients also. Actually, Chennai, every 4th family in Chennai is our client. So every 4th family of the whole of Chennai put together. And if you say that half of Chennai is reasonably middle to affluent, and then if you really look at, which is not our target client segment anyway, when you are talking of the remaining half of Chennai, which would make it as 1 out of every 2. So if we talk to any woman who is not in the middle income and upper income category, the probability of her being a client of ours is about 50%. So she was a client of us. So I asked her how much she had taken. She had taken about 10,000 rupees. I asked her what did she do with that. Then she said what she has done is she has paid 5,000 rupees as a security deposit to the supplier. And then she says that because now she has parked more or less 1 day's turnover with that person on a permanent basis, she says that now he is supplying to her much more consistently. Right. So her business income capability, generating income capability has become a little bit more sustainable or consistent because that person has now got her money with him as a locked-in deposit. And the balance 5,000 rupees I asked her, that's just gone into some household expenses, and she said she has used part of the money to repay some private loans which she had taken from some of the individual private money lenders. So, so that is microcredit on a practical level. You know, it's devoid of all theory. That's a practical thing. Now, if she didn't get money from us, I mean, our interest rate is 26%. 26% reducing balance, not flat. 26% reducing balance. Now, whenever I say, whenever anybody asks me for our interest rate, I always hum and haw. I never tell the number because people don't understand. Anytime I say anything more than 5% or 10%, which I can't because it is not, the immediate response from the other person is, what? How? So much? From the poor people, 25%, 26%. அவ்வளோவா வாங்குவீங்க எப்படி பே பண்ண முடியும் அவங்களால அதிகமா இல்லையா? So that's an automatic response. So I try to hum and ha and whatever. If that fellow is somehow not very persistent, then I escape. But if he is very persistent, then I stop. So we charge 26%. And of course there's a lot of reason to charge 26, and why it should be 26? Why can't it be just 6% after the poor people? So there's obviously economics reason behind that, because my borrowing cost is 14% from the banks. So banks lend to me on 14%, and it's a very high operating cost model because we employ fairly large number of people to do doorstep banking, doorstep delivery of the loan and doorstep collection of installments. So this woman who is sitting on the streets and selling her coconuts, now if you expect that she is going to spend a week or 10 days trying to get a loan processed from any institution, it will just kill her. She won't be able to do it. And if she is going to go around trying to repay it by going back to this institution on a weekly, fortnightly or monthly basis, it's all a disturbance to her income generating capability. On the other hand, if someone is able to go to her where she is working or she is living and do the transaction seamlessly and without any pain to her, the amount of money that she saves in that process is actually quite a lot. And of course, there is nothing like a bribe which is paid to the microfinance companies. Whereas there are reported research papers by Bharat. Bharat is an institution subsidiary of NABARD, where they have a published research paper which says that the cost of bank loans for self-help groups is on paper 12 to 13%, and by the time it reaches the hands, including the cost of the supplementary cost of getting that loan, is over 36%. So that's a research book written by Bharat, which is the subsidiary of NABARD. So it's not me saying that. Whereas my 26 is straight 26. There's nothing beyond 26. So anyway, that's a different story. So coming back to our lady in question. So that is microcredit. That's basically the microfinance that we are talking of. There is no doubt, or there is no going around the fact that microfinance is indeed a very laudable and very, very useful service for these people. There is absolutely no doubt. In fact, I did spend a little bit of time before we started Equitas. I had spent a little bit of time traveling around, meeting a lot of people, trying to understand what microfinance is all about. And so I was definitely very excited by the fact that it is truly serving badly needed service for these clients, which is just not available to them in any other through any other means. The only other means is, of course, the private money lenders, where it's atrocious, and it comes with all kind of terms attached, and quite often, people have to sell the produce to the person who has given the loan at rates which are not even market linked, and all that. There's so many other costs associated also besides just the high interest rates. So that is where we started from 2007, and when I saw that microfinance was indeed serving a good purpose, so I thought why not then we also try to play a role in this. In Cholamandalam, when I had worked earlier, and of course I know Mr. BSP and others here for decades through our interaction at the finance industry level, we have always taken a lot of pride in saying that we have been able to help people who are otherwise not in a position to help themselves, like truck owners, second-hand truck owners and all that. In Chola, we had even been one of the first finance company to finance purchase of three-wheeler goods carriers in 2000 and 2001 when those vehicles came into India for the first time. And we had funded more than 100,000 three-wheelers in those days. And all the buyer profile of three-wheeler is typically a driver turned owner. So we have actually, through that process, we were able to give, we were able to really support them in transforming their own lives from being a worker to becoming an owner. So we have always taken a lot of pride in what we have been doing. But when I came into microfinance, I can tell you that the amount of satisfaction we get here is tremendously high, very, very high. It's enormous. It's far superior to what I have ever experienced in my life. And as I said, in my life, I have not been dealing with the high-end part of the society. We have dealt with very low end of the society. But even then, what we are doing here, the amount of satisfaction it gives us is something which is tremendously more than what I have ever experienced in my life earlier. So it's something extremely satisfying. We are very proud and very happy to be doing what we are doing. But the question haunting us right from the beginning, 2007, when we started itself, I was always deeply worried whether this is going in the right direction, because we come from the regular lending side. I've been lending all my life, so we come from that background, and we always seen ups and downs. We always seen bus coming at your face, and then again you go up, then again you fall down. We have always seen this, and we have seen it so many times. And the personal loan market in 2006 was doing extremely well. By 2007, everybody had closed shop. And the simple reason was because, in 2006 middle, about 8 new banks and NBFCs came into that fray, which was just managed of just 2-3 NBFCs and 1 or 2 banks, just doing that. In 2006 middle, about 8-9 people came in, and by 2007 everybody had shut shop. So we have seen all this, and microfinance was just like that. It was just booming and growing, and we are always sure that if something has to happen, it just cannot go on like this. So we were trying our best at the sector level, at the industry level, to see how we can kind of get everybody together to become more rational and reasonable about what we are doing, and try to organize it in a manner that it doesn't become out of control. But unfortunately, it was not possible, and we couldn't do that. And microfinance, while being an extremely useful, relevant service for the end user of the loan, is also represents a potential opportunity to make any kind of money you want. It also represents that from the lender's perspective, because these people don't really know what is the lending rate at which they are borrowing. So, if you are not a chartered accountant, and if you don't know how to use Excel and calculate IRR, you may be a doctor, you may be an engineer, you may be anything else, but if you don't know how to calculate IRR on an Excel spreadsheet, I can send my 10th or 12th standard passed field staff to you, and in 5 minutes he can convince you that the high rate that he is offering is the lowest that is compared to all other rates. It's a matter of few minutes. He can twirl you around his little finger. Because financing is like that, when people don't know IRR, that's it. You are completely illiterate as far as lending rate is concerned. When that is the situation, even for highly educated people, you can imagine people who are probably not even read. If you are dealing with people who are not even read, how easy is it to dupe them on lending rates? And that was happening. That was happening rampantly. Rampantly means rampantly. And the lending rates, the real lending rates were anywhere in the region of, when I did the study in 2007, the lowest lending rate in the country was 32%. And the highest was 55%. So people were lending between 32 to 55. But when you check with the clients, they are saying, 1% what year 1% means in the parlance 12% per annum. So they all believed it was 12%. and they are actually getting anywhere from 32 to 55. So total lack of transparency, and when you are dealing with that kind of interest rates and you get a good fat margin, and then if you can pump in huge amount of money also out into the market, you suddenly see the profits going up, multi-fold, and then the valuation game starts. Then the private equity investors come, and there's money for everybody. Everybody has a party time, and you have a grand gala event which was happening out there, and that's what was actually happening in microfinance. Unfortunate, but absolutely sadly true. So when we started microfinance, we said at least from our side we try and set ourselves different from the rest of the crowd. So we went around and we kept looking for a name for the organization, and then we came upon this word Equitas. Equitas is a Latin word, and Equitas in Latin means equitable in English, which means being fair and transparent. So we said the fundamental philosophy of the organization would be that anything that we do has to be completely fair and totally transparent to anybody that we deal with, anyone, whoever is the stakeholder we deal with. And if something is not fair or something is not transparent, then we just don't do it. That's it. We can't do it in the company. So we put some fundamental philosophy of fairness and transparency onto the company. And when we did that, then we had to determine our lending rate in 2007 December. When we gave the first loan on 15th December, we had to fix our lending rate. So normally, you fix a lending rate based on competition. But here the competition is 32 to 55, so if I gave it at 35 or 40, any rate it would have gone. There's no problem. But we didn't want to do it because then we can't call ourselves as being fair. So we did some internal brainstorming and came with this concept that there's a certain element of pricing. One is your bank cost. You have to factor in the cost of your funds. There's no doubt on that. Then what is the likely delinquency that you are likely to face? So we said 2% we have to provide for, because it's completely unsecured loan, so we have to provide for 2% delinquency. Then we need a spread. Without a spread, we don't exist after a point in time. So we said 3% spread, which is what anybody should look for to have a reasonably sustainable operation. So the bank cost plus 2% delinquency plus 3% spread. The last element was our operating cost. So if we just plug it in, then we know our lending rate. So for that, what we said, the operating cost consists of two parts. One is the operating cost of the company on a normal basis, and the second thing is operating cost to support growth. When you want to grow, you want to open more branches. More branches means more staff, more supervisors, more managers, more travel, more systems, more everything. So when you want to grow, you spend more. When you don't want to grow, you spend less. So we came with this another philosophy, which is that the cost of growth for the organization should be borne by the investors and not by the clients. So we came with one more philosophy. So what we basically said is that let's project a 5-year growth for the organization at a fairly, let's say 50% or 60% per annum growth. And at the end of the 5th year, assuming that from there on, from a certain level of base, it grows only at 10 to 15%, which means you are not spending money for that growth. It's a normal inflationary growth. Then in the 6th, 7th year, what would be my cost of operation? So we kind of projected that, and we arrived at about 7.5% as operating cost. So we said we will only charge 7.5% operating cost from the clients. When we started, our operating cost was 21%, which means we are underpricing by about 13% plus. So you are going to book a loss. And as your 21% comes down, your losses will come down. And at some point, your losses stops, you start making money, but you never make the full returns. That 3% spread which I talked of, which we should make, you never make it till your cost comes to 7.5. So then the whole pressure is on the company, on the management to bring the cost down rather than just take it off from the client. So we put that, and so we arrived at our lending rate, which was 25.5%. So the first lending rate by the company was 25.5. And today, of course, the RBI has come with a regulation for microfinance. One of the regulations for micro loans in India today is a lending rate cap, which is 26% plus 1% service charge. So effectively, they are saying 27% can be charged from these clients. But our first lending rate was 25.5, and today it is 26. 25 plus 126. So we have been very fair as far as our pricing is concerned. Then we said transparency. So we put this actual interest, reducing balance interest rate on the passbook, and our schedule which we give to the client is also on a reducing balance basis, not on a flat basis. So that with a simple calculator you can just say opening closing balance multiplied by the interest rate for the number of days, it should tally, and you can easily check it out. You don't need to be IRR expert. So we put that on the passbook and we gave it to the clients, and we spend about half an hour communicating only the lending rate to the client. We have about 3-hour session with the clients spread over 3 days, 1 hour each day, where we communicate the entire process, terms about the company, how to use the money, everything we do, financial literacy. So it's a 3-hour program we give. Out of 3 hours, we earmark half an hour only for the point of communicating the lending rate to them. What is the rate at which they are borrowing? So we do that so the clients understand clearly what's the rate at which she borrows. But then we realize that anyway she will not remember, she will not understand. So we put it on the passbook also, so that even if she forgets, she can see it. Or even if she doesn't understand, she can show it to anybody and they can say what's the rate at which she has borrowed. So and this was actually a global benchmark, because there's an organization called mftransparency.org, which is a US-based NGO, formed for the purpose of promoting transparency around the world. And they have written to us in 2008 saying that there is no MFI in the entire world which publishes the true cost of borrowing to the clients by printing it in the past. So that's the sad part of the microfinance. While the Nobel Prize was all the glory part of the sector, but the gory part of the sector was that people are just kind of eating away at the sustainability of the sector itself in their greed to make money and grow rich. We also did a lot of other things, basically from a fairness perspective to staff. For example, every staff we gave ESOPs. So every staff in the company has options in the company. This company is not owned by anybody. That's the biggest advantage that we have. I started it, but it doesn't mean I own it. I have some 4% stake. That's about it. Everything else is owned by various initial investors and subsequent investors and all that. Nobody has more than 15% stake. We never give more than 15% to anybody, so that nobody thinks he owns this company and is burdened with carrying this company on his shoulders. So we do it on their behalf. So it's a very professionally managed company. We have a very strong board, and we put a lot of governance structures in place right in the beginning. Since I started this company, and I am absolutely unknown to anybody in any industry or any sector. Nobody knows me. So I don't add any credibility to the organization. So I needed someone who can actually give a lot of credibility to the organization. So we are very lucky to get Mr. Rangachari, who is the ex-IRD chairman, as the chairman of this company. And we have a very eminent, very strong and a very eminent board, and we take governance to very high levels. In fact, we are clause 49 compliant. We are also now 75% compliant with the draft MCA guidelines for corporate governance. The balance, we have a governance committee of the board, so that committee is working to see how do we fill the gap on the balance, so that we are completely compliant even with this suggested guidelines by the MCA. We are also the only 8th corporate in India to have a governance rating from CRISIL. So besides some of the very top-notch industries in India, so we are the 8th company to go in for a corporate governance rating. So we take a lot of pride in saying that we run this organization in an extremely fair, transparent manner. And the fact is that today microfinance has run into a lot of heavy weather, because in Andhra Pradesh there are a lot of reported instances of clients committing suicides because they couldn't bear the pressure of the repayment torture by the MFIs. So there are some suicides which are reported. None of them has been proved or anything like that. But in these kind of things, you don't need proof. It's just the general euphoria is all that counts. You don't need anything more than that. 1.75 lakh crore scam. The swing just goes to the other direction. So you don't need proof on this kind of things. And microfinance is one such topic where everybody has a very strong view. Everybody to everybody, from students here to experts here to the layman on the street to anybody and everybody has a very strong view on microfinance. So So not that they need to know anything about it, it does not matter. But everybody thinks that they know the poor. So everybody thinks they know. So everybody has very strong views, and it's also a very good material for the press. You know, or Komla with a thatched house in the background with one or two kids in her arms or hips, and if she just stands up, whatever she says, that's gospel, taken at face value. It doesn't matter whether she says right or wrong, doesn't matter. Whatever she says, that's true, taken as completely at face value. So the media is also very interested. Politicians, of course, are naturally highly interested because this is a community where they always woo them. Whether it is free TVs or free rice or free dal or I don't know whatever free mixie grinder, whatever. This is a segment which politicians also want to woo for their own purposes. So there is a very strong political segment which constitutes a good segment for the politicians. So they are also interested. So this is a segment, the segment which microfinance serves is a segment which has a lot of very, very strong interested stakeholders. It's a very sensitive segment in that sense. And this sensitive segment, if you handle it in an insensitive manner, then what happened recently in Andhra Pradesh is what is about to happen. And for those who don't know what happened in Andhra Pradesh, the Andhra government came down with a new act to regulate microfinance. And the act is, before the act, preceding the introduction of that act, there were a lot of comments by politicians which kind of told the people, don't bother repaying, we'll take care of you, we'll protect you. Adding to that, a lot of communication through the media, both TV and newspaper, from different types of politicians. In fact, I think this was the only point on which the entire Andhra politicians were united. Totally united. You know, there was no one opposing it. Government, opposition parties, and Jagan Mohan Reddy, who was at that point in time unclear whether he was in the government or opposition, all of them were completely united on only one topic, microfinance. Keep that. So it was very highly political vendetta also. So whatever, so they came with an act. That act has certain provisions which makes it impossible to carry on microfinance in Andhra Pradesh. And that has resulted in the fact that a state where the repayment was anywhere between 97 to 98 is now about 10%. So 90% of the people are not paying back. So that's how it happens. And then RBI woke up and they came with a new set of guidelines last month, trying to finally regulate this sector. Now people are getting into overdrive to regulate it, which is good for a moment at least. We have an association, we are trying to do a lot of things in that also. But end of story on that basically is that microfinance is something which definitely is very relevant. I mean, you and me can sit here and write a book, has it lost its luster? But please come with me to that coconut vendor and ask her, and she will say, no, it has not lost its luster. I am very happy with microfinance. But you dump, instead of 10,000 rupees, you dump 50,000 rupees on her head, and go back and ask her whether she still thinks microfinance is good, and I hope she is alive by then to answer. Right? So it is definitely critical, definitely important, but it has to be done in a very controlled, very fair, very reasonable manner. It should not become over excess. And if it can be done that way, then I think it's a fantastic stuff. And finally, coming back to going away from the luster part of it and back to what I originally wanted to talk about, Bharat and India. So what is Bharat and what is India? Anybody would like to take that up? What's the difference? What's Bharat and what's India?
Traditional world.
Sorry?
Traditional country.
Traditional?
Traditional country of India.
Okay.
And now today's modern world.
Okay. Anyone else? Hindi movies. Skip your memory back. There's some Hindi movie. There's a connection to Hindi movie. I think the actor is, I don't know his names. He's the one who acted in Lagan. Amir Khan. Yeah, Amir Khan. Or maybe someone else, I'm not very sure. Some Hindi movie, Bharat. double acting by the hero. One is the villager and the other is a completely city-bred guy. The city-bred guy is projected as Indian and the other guy is projected as guy from Bharat. So Bharat is nothing but that part of India occupied by 60% of the population who have nothing to do with that remaining 40%. And India is that part of the country occupied by 40% of Indians who are globally connected, well-heeled, well-traveled, well-read, interlinked to the global economy, and every day morning they open the newspaper to see is the GDP growth going to be 8% or 7.75% this year. It's very critical for them because if it is 7.75, 1 lakh crores is gone. If it is 8.25, they made 100,000 crores. Very critical for that 40% of Indians. What happens to the GDP? Is it 8 or 8.25 or 7.75? So they are living in India. The balance 60% of the population who lives in Bharat, they get up in the morning, they are not concerned so much about that 8% growth of GDP. They are just concerned. I hope the rain stays away today. I hope my husband doesn't come back and hit me today. I hope that money I kept in the box when I came back in the morning, I hope the money is still there and my child has not taken it when he or she has come back from the school. So whenever she gets up, that's what is going on in her mind. So those are the people from Bharat. These are the people from India. And there is an absolute divide between these two. Nothing from Bharat moves to India, nothing from India moves to Bharat. Okay. So the question is then, do we stop all progress, all development? Do we stay away from focusing on 8%? Do we don't mind that it drops from 8% to 3%, but we start focusing on Bharat? It's not the answer. That 8% focus has to continue. But is the benefit of that GDP growth, is the benefit of the economic growth, is it really percolating down to these people? And of course the politicians are doing their best, free rides and whatever. That's not the sustainable way of, taking the benefits of growth down to them. And unless there's a sustainable way of bringing that benefit of growth down to the 60% of the population, we are actually creating an undercurrent of bad feelings amongst a very, very large set of people, And if that goes beyond a certain level, then obviously the reaction from them is not going to be very nice for the 40% people also. So there is definitely an urgent need, and I think people are talking now, even at the senior most government levels, people are talking in terms of inclusive growth. Financial inclusion appeal to Konjanali Godindu. Now I think people believe that it's all old-fashioned talk of financial inclusion anymore. So people don't want to talk so much about it. They've got a new term they have coined now. Inclusive growth. So now people talk of inclusive growth from the highest levels in the government and the country. But not much is happening down there. And I think there's a need definitely to look at, seeing how do the benefits percolate to these people. How do you connect this divide? That's a big divide. How do you connect it? I think that's very critical. And it's not going to be done by me. It's not going to be done by any of you here. It's got to be done by the government. I mean, we have elected them. It's their responsibility. They have to do it. And the hope only is that somewhere something will happen and that divide will start getting bridged. But microfinance definitely is one small tool, a very, very small tool to do that connecting of that bridge. So to that extent, yes, we can say that we are doing some role in connecting these two people, but obviously it's completely inadequate. And at Equitas, we not only do microfinancing, but we also do a lot of other related activities. And this is one of the few exceptional businesses where you also talk of, on the one hand, a very large number of client base, and parallelly, on the other hand, you also talk of an extremely intimate relationship with your clients. So if you take a credit card company or a credit card bank, they will always talk of clients in millions. When is the last time your credit card banker has met you? You have a credit card? Who has a credit card? You have a credit card? Who has a credit card? Sir, you have a credit card? When is the last time your banker met you on your credit card? Never. So, you have 1 million clients, they don't meet you. You have 100 clients, they meet you very often because you are a high value client and they are able to establish a strong relationship. But here is a business where you have millions of clients, but at the same time, we spend half an hour with every customer face to face every week. Every week, half an hour face to face with every single client, even if you have 2 million or 5 million clients. So that's a model, that's the business model of microfinance. So it helps you have such a close relationship that link can be used to deliver lots of services at a cost which is unimaginable for anyone else. It's just not possible for anybody else. So we wanted to use that link, that channel, to see what else can we offer to our clients. And the core mission of the company is to help improve the quality of life of our clients. So we said, how do we improve the quality of life of our clients? That's the core mission of the company. And using the link or the channel that microfinance gives to us, so we wanted to see what else can we do to try our best to try and help improve the quality of their lives. And I've got a colleague of mine, Venkatesh, who is here, and he'll just take a few minutes to explain what are the other services that we offer to our clients. And another philosophy in the company is that all services or products that we give to them other than the loan product, which is used for consumption by them, will have to be done on a not-for-profit basis. So everything else that we do is strictly on a not-for-profit basis. So I just request my colleague to share with us what are the other services that we offer to the clients as part of our ecosystem of services.
Good evening, esteemed guests, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Vasudevan is a very humble person. In fact, before this presentation started, Mr. PSB was urging him to speak about achievements. He doesn't like speaking about his achievements. This presentation was actually programmed to be in two parts, where he talks about the industry and I talk about the achievements of the company, take you through what Equitas is. When I came to the stage, he said, let's focus on the ecosystem part of it, which I will do now. At Equitas, we work very differently compared to any other microfinance company. In fact, Equitas, when we began, it's an organization, as he said, started in December 2007, and it is a company which is about 3.5 years old, whereas you look at competition, they are all present for the last 15-20 years. Naturally, when we start any organization, the first thing is you survey the market, look at what are competencies available, look at processes, and finally arrive at a process which suits your style of working and also taking into account some of the learnings from competition. When we started microfinance, you'll be surprised that whatever we have done today, we have challenged every tradition of microfinance. In fact, you can call it the Equitas way today. It is Equitas way, and in fact, we are wanting to patent this as Equitas model. You would have heard about self-help groups where microcredit reaches the needy. I'm sure you must have heard about Grameen model, which started in Bangladesh and slowly percolated to India. Most of the microfinance institutions offer microcredit services through Grameen model. Equitas is a company which has components of ingredients of the Grameen model plus other allied financial services activities which we call as a Equitas ecosystem. Now, what do we do at Equitas? At Equitas, the core company offers microcredit to self-employed married woman. She takes this microcredit loan and she is expected to use this into her business. Through the business, she increases her revenue. Through the increase in revenue, she is able to pay off her installments and partly use some amount of money to create savings. So when we say microcredit, it is both investments and saving going together. You cannot ever have a situation where you only invest and there are no savings. You can earn as much as you want, but at the end of the day, if you do not have or save for the bad days, you're going to be impoverished. That is the situation that we see in Andhra today. So the first fundamental, the core activity is microcredit lending. Apart from microcredit lending, we also focus on other areas where the quality of life of our members can be improved. It is not only by microcredit the quality of life can be improved, it can be other activities which we are working on. We work on the area of health. To give you statistical data, we have today 15 lakh members acquired in a matter of 3.5 years, which is a record by itself. You'll be surprised and you look at us with awe when I say that 40% of this 1.5 million customers are put through various social programs. 4.6 lakh members were benefited on health-related activities. We conduct widely eye camps, dental camps, cancer screening, pediatric camps, general health camps in tie-up with various hospitals, big hospitals. Today, I can proudly claim that we have tie-ups with about 500 hospitals. 9,876 cataract operations were done free to our clients. 34,000 spectacles were given free. And 2.6 lakhs members went through free eye screening camps. Apart from health, we also concentrate on skill development. Out of the 15 lakh members that we have acquired, 2 lakh members went through various training programs. When I say training programs, it's programs on tailoring, embroidery, agarbatti making, candle making, doll making, many other training programs which helps her to improve her revenues over a period of time. So we have the health, we concentrate on health, we concentrate on skill development. We also, apart from these two, concentrate on education. We currently have 4 schools, full-fledged schools running. The first 2 schools commenced last year. The first school came up in Trichy and the second school in Dindigul. In fact, today we had the inauguration of 2 more schools which we have started in Coimbatore and Salem. In fact, Mr. Vasudevan was present in Salem today and he has come down from Salem. He's just reached in time for this program. We have also acquired land for 2 more programs, and which we could not unfortunately start this year. We would probably be starting 2 further schools in Kadalur and Karur. The land has already been acquired. So the next year, hopefully, we will have 2 more schools. Since we wanted to give education, improve the quality of education to our members' children, we thought schools would be an area which we could focus widely on. But unfortunately, there are a lot of impediments in starting a school. It is not easy to commence a school. So what would be the next best alternative to a school? We thought we would run tuition centers, because that may not be an immediate. But the next best alternative is to run tuition centers. Today, like any evening tuition center, we have about 60 tuition centers where 3,000 children, members' children, come and study. Yesterday, a couple of days back, I had visited one of the tuition centers to see the success. I was in Banroti, and we have a tuition center in Banroti. There are about 100 members' children who study there. And when I looked through, I found on the notice board the names of 4 children who have passed 10th standard, and I was shocked to see that a child of the Shiksha Center has scored 480 out of 500. The second child had scored 460. The third child 440, and the fourth child 414. But more importantly, the attention was on the child who got 414 because before she joined the Shiksha Center, she used to fail in couple of subjects always. Imagine a child which has come in as Shiksha Center, which was started about a year back, producing a result more than 80% is really commendable. And imagine what a change it can bring in the life of the family. So we focus extensively on education. Schools will be on one side. We would intensively focus on this, the next best alternative of expanding our Shiksha centers. So I talked about health, I talked about training programs, I talked about education. What else is left? Food and nutrition. In the area of food, we run our own provision shops. It's equivalent to the Subiksha centers, where we give our members a shopping experience. Through our own provision shops, she is able to buy high quality groceries at very reasonable prices. Currently we have 20 provision shops, and through these provision shops we have 10,000 members who go and buy groceries on a regular basis. So our core activity is microcredit, and we focus on other allied activities of health, food and nutrition, training and education, comprising of what we call as the Equitas ecosystem. The climax of whatever I have spoken is what you will see on this short 4-minute video.
Millions of women can improve their lives, but for access to capital. Presenting Equitas, the small loan company that helps them realize their dreams. Equitas nurtures their bonding, helping them stay united. Presenting to you the proud customers of Equitas. Equitas model of microfinance rooted in fairness, transparency and efficiency. World Bank recognizes Equitas technology as the best among microfinance institutions in the world. Aligned staff, stock options for all. Holistic approach towards clients by helping them to improve their income through skill development and aggregation benefits. Reduce expenses on food and healthcare. Support education efforts. Helping clients meet primary healthcare free of charge. Equitas Retail brings savings on their major spends. Food also provides food security in emergency times.
Equitas B2B, bringing forward to their plans, improving their margin by 20%.
Supporting livelihoods of clients.
Equitas Gurukul, schools with a difference. Transformation of children of our members through holistic development. transportation support for members' children.
Enabling the differently able. Moving beyond our clients, rehabilitating pavement dwellers. Equitas, Microfinance, Macro.
Two questions. One, is the method of giving help at such a reasonable rate of interest is very accurate. But of all the countries where I have worked, this is the most cultural, great history and so on, where there is a very big system of money lenders giving money. Of course, they only give it to people whom they know in their area, without any security anything. But if you get 10,000 rupees, they will be happy to give you as a loan. So they are their thugs also to come and get the money also. And they charge for 10,000 rupees. The interest for a month is 1,000 rupees. I don't know whether you have heard of it. This is very prevalent in the Devakram area and so on. And by talking to the people who bring me fruits or who work in the house and so on, I find this is very prevalent. But then the other system that you mentioned also, they started in a big way about 2-3 years ago. And some of these girls were engaged in that and they were helping, and it seemed to work. But as you said, it takes too much of time of the volunteers to talk with them and get their money and so on and so forth. That is one thing. But the other thing which I am very happy to know is that you are engaged in health and so on and so forth, this education. And what I would like to know is about your centers that are functioning in the neighborhood of Anna Nagar, and I would be very happy to volunteer.
Sure. We have one in MMDA. MMDA Arubakam. We have a tuition center there.
Where the music, the milk department was, the dairy farming.
MMDA. We have one tuition center there.
Yeah.
We'll be very happy to take your help.
Yeah, I'll get your address.
Sure.
Which are the states you are currently operating? Is it only Tamil Nadu or more?
We operate in about 6 states.
6 states.
Can I ask the next question?
This is the way how civil society can really
Under the
civil society.
ingredients should the idea is meeting is for you more.
In the tuition center as well as school, you said anything other than microfinance, you are not looking at making profits. Now, school is a fairly difficult business today, and particularly what is happening right now. What is the school syllabus system that you have chosen now, and what kind of fees do you charge, if at all you charge any fees? Can you give us a little bit more?
This is a matriculation stream under the state government matric scheme, and we do charge a fees, but it is kept at a very low level because otherwise they won't pay it. They won't be able to afford to pay it, and it's almost 80% of the children will be from our own clients' children, 20% from their neighborhood, their reference, or their relatives, etc. We have to set aside 7 crores per school. That's the amount required to run one school. We need to spend about 4.5 crores on the land and building. Initially you need to spend about 2.5 crores for the land and building, and you need to. We start from LKG to 5th standard, and every year we add one standard till we reach 12th. Okay, so we start with a 2.5 crores investment on the land and the ground floor building. And after sometime we have to put up the first floor and then the second floor. So we have to earmark about 2 crores for that. So 4.5 crores you have to keep aside for the infrastructure. And the school model is such that we expect to break even somewhere between the 10th and the 12th year. So till that it's going to run in a loss. Because the fees is kept really, really low. We don't charge any admission fees, donations, computer fees. In fact, we offer everything. We offer computers right from LKG kids. We offer yoga, as you saw in the video. Yoga is given for all the children from the lower standards. In fact, my daughter is going to DAV now. Yoga starts from the 4th standard there. For us, it starts from the ground, from the LKG standard onwards. We have an arts teacher who teaches them arts. Then we have a music teacher who teaches them singing, Carnatic as well as normal, and then dance. So we don't have charges for any of this. There's no separate charge for yoga classes or computer classes or anything like that. And the fees itself is about, for the primary section, it is approximately about between 3,500 to 4,500 rupees per annum. And then we haven't fixed it for the 7th, 8th because 2 schools are now gone to the 6th. So we'll have to fix it as we go by. But we are expected to make about 2.5 crores of cumulative loss, maximum cumulative loss over a 10-year period. So which means you need to have 2.5 crores available for the school to meet its operating expense for a 10-year period, after which we hope that it will break even. So we have to set aside 7 crores for that. And on the tuition center also, it's run on a not-for-profit basis. The tuition center has 2 costs. One is a direct cost. Direct cost is the tuition center's rent, the teacher's part-time teacher's salary. We have one full-time headmistress for the tuition center, her salary, and then the operating cost, electricity and things like that. That's a direct cost. The indirect cost is we have supervisory senior teachers, senior HMs as we call them, SHMs. So with their cost, and then the head of the Shiksha center who drives the whole curriculum and teaching methodology and all that, plus the training cost, travel cost, etc. All that is absorbed by the company, by the trust. We contribute 5% of our profit to the trust on a quarterly basis. So all the overheads are absorbed through that. The direct cost, we actually want to recover it from the fees. That's the stated aim. But except for a few centers, we are not even able to break even at the direct cost level. So that shortfall is also absorbed by the trust.
Sorry, direct cost you want me to move?
From the fees that we charge the children.
So the children are coming from the poorer classes.
Yeah. We have to charge them fees. If you try to give them free, then they will not come back next
But
time.
for whole year, he said that they are charging only some 3,000.
That's a school fee. That's a
fee.
school, but for
That's a
tuition.
school fee. For the tuition center, we charge them for a month about anywhere between 75 rupees to 150 rupees per month, depending on the standards. And if it's a 10th standard and all that, we charge them 200.
Practically free. 75 to 100 rupees per month is practically free.
But if you don't charge him even that, what happens? In fact, our skill development, which you saw, we started by offering free. It's a 1-week program, Monday to Friday, 3 hours per day, 15-hour program. Actually, we don't want to earn money on all this stuff. So we started by giving it free. But we realized they come on Monday, they don't come on Tuesday. They come on Wednesday, they don't come on Thursday. Because it's free, so we changed that. We calculated our cost of delivery. It came to about 78 to 80 rupees. So we said 100 rupees fees. So a 15-hour 5-day program, 100 rupee fees. The moment we said 100 rupee fees, they come every day.
And the medium of instruction is in English or Tamil?
Either
In the school?
school is matriculation. It's English medium school. English medium school. English medium. English medium and Hindi and Tamil is offered as second language. In fact, Trichy school we went. Shanmugam is a finance secretary in state government now. So he was with us and we went to the Trichy school. So we had some parents who had come there. ஒரு அப்பா வந்தார், ஒரு பொண்ணு 3ஆம் கிளாஸ் படிக்குது, அதனுடைய அப்பா வந்தார். அவர் பேசும்போது he just broke down. He was saying that அவங்க வீட்டில் உட்காந்து they are seeing the TV, ஏதோ ஒரு ஹிந்தி மூவி வந்துதான், சரி இப்போ ஹிந்தி தானே they are about to skip. Then the daughter said, இல்ல வச்சுக்க நான் கதை சொல்றேன் அப்படின்ட்டு அவர் ஒய்ஃப் அந்த பையன் வந்துட்டு 6th standard படிக்கலாம். 6th எங்க ஸ்கூல்ல படிக்க முடியாது, because we start only up to 4th. Next year only we take them, we add the 6th. The boy was already in 6th, so we could not observe him. So the mother, father and the brother were all sitting and she was explaining the movie to them, the Hindi movie. And then suddenly he just broke down when he was explaining that. So the medium is English and we have also Hindi and Tamil as second language.
Please.
ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது நீங்க, because the way you started with microfinance and then spreading to other needy activities of the group target group. I think you are working within that target group of 1.5 million, and the major source of funding will come from your main business. So I don't know which is your main business and which is your other businesses, because you are entering into a very big, very comprehensive business area. Because these are all needed. Mostly supposed to be done by the government, but because of the opportunities, microfinance can make a certain money out of it to sustainability point of view. And you said that the World Bank has appreciated the model, and you are following something different from the Grameen model. Now, on what points the World Bank has appreciated the model, and how far do you think that the whole thing will be sustainable, or you will have to increase the interest rates and so on? So I would like to have do something.
See, World Bank people had come to our office and they saw our entire operations, our technology adoption, the technology that we have put in place. They say that that's the best technology that they have seen amongst MFIs in the world. So they were so impressed that actually they went back and in their website now there is a blog about our technology. There's an organization called CGAP, C-G-A-P. CGAP is the World Bank's arm which focuses on microfinance. So if you go to World Bank and click on CGAP, then on that website there's a blog written about our technology. So where they say that this is the best that they have seen anywhere in the world. Generally they believe that our holistic approach to the client is something which is quite interesting. That's what they claim. Of course, see, it's all early times. We are also very small today and we have a long way to go to prove that even our model will work on a long-term sustainable basis. என்ன இப்போ நீங்கள் சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா, உங்கள் மெயின் பிஸ்னஸ் எதுன்னு எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் கன்ஃபியூஷனாக இருக்குது அப்படின்ட்டு. போர்ட் மீட்டிங்கில் we have a topic same question. நீ என்னடா பண்ணுற, மைக்ரோஃபைனான்ஸ் பண்ணுறியா, வேற என்ன பண்ணுற? ஸோ இதெல்லாம் ஒரே even at our board meeting. But so there's a lot of doubts whether an organization can really be doing so many things. Like we are also into vegetable business. We have stores which sell vegetables. We procure on bulk, because what happens, we have a lot of clients who are selling vegetables, vendors of vegetables. They all go to the Coimbatore market and buy their vegetables and then they sell it out. So we said, if we aggregate that and buy in bulk, then that benefit of bulk buying can be passed on to them. So we calculated that approximately 20% we can give the benefit to them on the price. So if they are buying for 500 rupees and selling for 550 rupees and getting a profit of 50 rupees per day, if she comes and buys from me the same 500 rupee vegetable, I should be able to give it to her at about 400 rupees. And her selling price is still going to be 550, so the profit from 50 can become 150, which means they are tripling their profit. The impact on profit is very large for a client. So we thought, why not we do this? So we started that now. We are running 6 stores now. It started some time back. We want to experiment it, and we started with 4 stores. It looked like it's working well. So we are now in the expansion mode. We want to start more stores now. So vegetables, groceries, we have a retail chain now. We are now running 20 stores in and around Chennai, and we are expanding that to about 50 stores now, where it's a regular self-service model where people can go and take a bag and shop around for themselves. So we are running that. That's a Section 25 company. It's a Section 25 because we can't make money on that. So Almari, we're trying to do a lot of things. But the challenge, the question is, one, is it really possible to do it on a long-term sustainable basis and on a scale basis? That's the whole challenge. Even we don't know the answer to that. So we are just hoping that God will also help us along the way.
That is what I wanted
One-
to raise, but you already raised it.
So one last question, if I can.
Last question, okay. Because we are running short and
Okay. If I can. It's a technical question. Actually, unlike traditional banking companies, here if you really help somebody, they will stop being your customer after a point if they are out of poverty. So effectively, if you do your job properly, you will be losing customers. Of course, you will be gaining new customers who are completely poor. Now, especially in the light of Malegaon Committee recommendations, your definition of a microfinance company is very strict now. Now, how do you think you can actually handle it in this light, actually, losing your customer traditionally, regularly?
Yeah, I think this is one business where we'll be very happy to lose clients. Very happy to lose clients and never see them ever again. We don't want to see them again, because if we see them again, if we see them again, it means that they have come back to bad times. So we would prefer we never see them again. And we also try to help them in this process of not coming back to us. Because once they complete a loan cycle, we give them a certificate saying that you borrowed from us and you have paid your installments on time. It's an excellent track record. And we tell them, now go to the bank. So far the bank is not funding, that's why you are coming to me. Bank 12%. You are coming because they are not giving, you don't have an option. But take my letter, try your luck now. So we are actually giving a letter to them saying that, it's like a track record, what the bank typically asks for a track record. So like that, we give them a certificate. So we tell them, now show the certificate. If you are lucky and get it from the bank, well and good. You don't have to take it again from us, because if we have, definitely we are going to be higher than the bank. So we are even trying to help them in the process of moving away from us. But in terms of whether that would mean a loss of business for us and all that, 600 million Indians are poor, so I think we have a long way to go.
You can shift to one state to another.
Friends, we are close, and I would like to keep the President's remarks very short so that we close at 7:30. Two things. One thing that was impressive was that microfinance, the model is always the Grameen banking model. All of us thought that that is the benchmark, and most of the countries who are poor and developing have adopted that model. Now, Equitas model seems to be very much different from that Grameen bank model. So, whether microfinance can be sustained on a long-term basis with Equitas model is something to be seen. They have grown at a very explosive rate. That type of a growth I have not seen in any concern dealing with poor. Except for the government schemes get expanded very fast if you want to cover more and more area. But for a private company to start like that and within 3 years to reach this type of clientele and this type of reach, it is in education, it is in health, it is in finance, it is in various other sectors. It is something very impressive, and Mr. Vasudevan was very frank and forthcoming. He gave us all the details, and he made it interesting for more than an hour how the company grew and what its policy was and what its track record is. We can only hope that this type of thing can be sustained on a long-term basis, because he was talking about the finance secretary. I being an ex-finance secretary, we are always a bit conservative and worried about any such schemes long-term sustainability, because we run our Amudam stores in the government and we find it is losing after some time. We run the schools are always losing. We run the hospitals, hospital can never make money. But for a business banking institution with only a 3% spread, also about 2 to 5% of bad debts, for them to generate enough money to sustain that type of development activity over large sectors is very, very difficult. And if they succeeded to be a great model for the whole world, not only for India. It's something which I think we here in this hall are all well-wishers of this particular venture. So all our good wishes to Vasudevan and his team that it should succeed on a long-term basis, and we should show another model apart from the Bangladesh model, the Indian model or the Tamil Nadu model of growth of urban poor. And when he said that 50% of the urban poor are his clients, I am really impressed that 1 in 2 who we meet on the streets, mainly this Equitas client. So since the youngsters are here, I would like you to take some interest, not necessarily in the company as such, but the type of problems that they are dealing. The urban poor is a fact of life. Every day we meet them. Rural poor, some of may meet or may not meet. Urban poor we meet every day. If we take some interest in their lives and extend a helping hand to them in whatever way we can, will be certainly making a great difference in their lives and standard of living, and that will give us a lot of what we call soul satisfaction, Atma Tirupti. And they have done a great deal of work, and I congratulate the Equitas and Mr. Vasudevan in particular. And I also thank him for rushing all the way from Salem to meet us for this evening and tell us what they are doing. And I would ask Mr. Bharat, our trustee, to propose the formal vote of thanks. I would conclude by requesting Mr. Vasudevan to come to some of our colleges and schools, because it's very difficult to get audience here, this type of a meeting. But if he comes to our colleges and schools and tells them about the philosophy of microfinance 101 and how the philosophy is translated in the field in practical terms by this type of ventures, it will be a great deal of education, great deal of sanction. Thank you very much.
I have known Vasu for over 3 decades. About 3-4 months back, when I happened to meet him on a different purpose, I was just asking him, because that was the time when a lot of bad publicity was being made with regard to microfinance institutions. In fact, the former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu, had given a statement on that day that if any microfinance person comes and asks you for money, just to tie him to a pillar and call me, my people will come and beat him. This was the kind of statement that a former Chief Minister had given. So I just asked him casually that whether things are okay, because you are expecting that he will also give me the reply that yes, things are very bad and all that. Of course, he didn't mention that. He said that yes, things are becoming bad, and then our level of operations has come down. But then we are able to, carry on. And during the course of that conversation, he was mentioning about lot of service activities, welfare activities that his company has been doing. I was greatly impressed. In fact, words are not sufficient for me to explain the kind of happiness that I got during that conversation. But then he was telling it in a matter of fact, in a very casual way. He was not attaching much of importance. So immediately I told him that I would like to come and see some of these welfare activities myself. Then immediately he deputed one of his staff members to take me around. So I visited every one of these institutions. That is their training centers, this grocery shop, vegetable shop, everything. In fact, tuition center, everything I have visited. So I can vouch for the authenticity of whatever that Vasu has been doing. In fact, this is a very great thing that he has been doing. Nobody expects a microfinance company to do all this. He is doing it for his own satisfaction. And then he is such a humble person. He doesn't want to actually, if I had not requested him, he would have just skipped this also. Even now, he has asked his colleague Venkatesh to actually talk about that. He didn't speak about whatever that he is doing. One more thing which neither he nor Venkatesh has mentioned is, in his company, the maximum that a person, the difference between the lowest paid employee and the highest paid employee, he is the highest paid employee, he is the managing director, and assuming that there is a peon or a sweeper who gets some salary, the difference cannot be more than 40 times. He found that it was 45 times. Immediately he reduced his salary by 5 times. That is the kind of person he is. He wants to keep, he is not actually working for salary. And very surprisingly in his company, most of his colleagues are like him. They are also voluntarily saying that we would like to give up our increments for the next 2-3 years. See, this is something, so during one of our committee meetings, I told the chairman that why can't we call Mr. Vasudevan, because one is education to the student, that is one thing, but then I want to give the maximum possible publicity to whatever that he is doing. Immediately the committee, the chairman as well as the managing trustee, both of them welcomed this idea, and then this is how we got Mr. Vasudevan to address us today. So, as mentioned by our chairman, it would be our great, because the chairman is also a chairman of Equitas College, and then one of our trustee members is the principal of MOP Vaishnav College. So it would be a great thing if Vasudevan can come and address where the student members will be more, the student population will be more. And I would like to once again take this opportunity to thank Mr. Vasudevan for sparing his time, and also all the students. Of course, attendance has not been that great, but anyway, I'm happy that so many people have come during a working day, and I am also thankful to the authorities of this college who have spared this auditorium for this meeting. Thank you very much.